Hi, welcome to Social Media for Small Creative Businesses. My name is Mandy McNeil, and I work in marketing and communications for Work and Culture. In this presentation, I'm going to introduce you to the basics of using social media to grow your business, reach your customers, and get the most from your online presence. We'll be covering 4 topics. First, an overview of what is social media. Then, getting started with your own social media marketing. Followed by how to manage your social media. And finally, measuring and analytics. So let's get started. So what is social media? Some of you may already be familiar with the idea of social media and may already be users of some of the platforms out there. Most common to some folks will be Facebook or Twitter or perhaps mobile apps like Instagram or videos systems like YouTube. Social media is the term we use to talk about interactive online media that relies on user-generated content. What that means is anyone can contribute, create, or share ideas and information through these networks. So what does all this mean for marketing? Social media has enabled people to access affordable, often even free, marketing. Social media platforms and tools allow you to create marketing content, help you identify and find your target markets, and enable you to convey messages to those markets. And they can amplify word of mouth to levels never before possible. So what are these platforms and tools? I'm going to briefly highlight some of the more common platforms and tools used for social media marketing. And I'm going to focus primarily on the ones that can be accessed for free. First, for the purposes of this presentation, I'm defining platforms as the sites or applications that are the actual social media hubs where interaction takes place. And I'll be defining tools as the resources that are available to help you manage your social media presence. So the more common platforms include Facebook, probably one of the most familiar to everyone. Individuals have personal profiles and personal dashboard where they can interact with others online and share content. Companies, organizations, or other professional entities have what we call pages, where they can share content and promote themselves. It's very simple to share things like videos, pictures, and links on Facebook. Twitter, a fast-paced online environment where you can share and find content using only 140 characters. LinkedIn, a professional networking site where individuals can make professional connections, apply for jobs, and participate in career-related conversations. Companies have profiles and can manage their own communities and conversations and use this as a recruiting tool. YouTube. YouTube is a video sharing platform. You can upload and share videos, create video playlists, and viewers can leave comments and share your videos throughout the web. Then there's blogging in general. Blogging is really more of a form of social media, not a platform, but I wanted to talk about it here anyway. Blogs are self-published articles or posts that you can create in order to share with readers some insight into your organization or lend a personal voice to your business, or go in more in depth with topics related to who you are and what you do. Now let's talk about some of the more common tools. These include Hootsuite. It's a dashboard that helps you manage various platforms in one place, monitor your activities, and schedule posts across all your channels. TweetDeck is a dashboard for managing your Twitter activity specifically, whether for just one Twitter account or multiple ones. Sprout Social is great for monitoring your activity across various platforms and can help you find new customers and manage your engagement. Bit.ly is a URL shortener, which is a useful tool for sharing content, particularly on Twitter, but it also can be used to track your activity. Note that these tools are for the management of your social media. Later, I'll talk more about using tools for measurement and analytics for evaluating your success. So now that you've had an overview of what social media is and what some of the more popular platforms and tools are, it's time to ask yourself, is social media right for my enterprise? Many people or organizations rush to use social media for marketing and jump into attempting to establish a social media presence without any objective, strategy, or real understanding of what they should be trying to achieve by using social media. But the first thing I always do is encourage people to slow down. A poorly planned and executed social media presence can do more harm than having no social media presence at all. Ask yourself a few key questions first to figure out if social media could be an effective and successful means of marketing for your enterprise. Is your target market online? Are they using social media? Do you know what your competition is doing with social media? Who of your competitors is using social media successfully? Do you have the time to invest in managing your social media? Do you have access to the human resources necessary to commit to a consistent social media presence? And are you willing to truly engage with your customers? Can you handle two-way conversations with your audience? If you've answered these questions honestly, and you've determined that there is opportunity for your enterprise in social media, you're able to invest the time and energy, and you're up to the task of real engagement with your audience, then you're ready to get started with your own social media plans. Getting started. So how do you get started? It can seem overwhelming, and because it's so easy and it's free to put yourself out there through social media, it's tempting to go all out, signing up for various sites, making profiles, and start pushing out information about yourself. In fact, I know many of you may already have established some form of social media presence for your enterprise, and that's okay. What we're learning here today is how to strategically use your social media. So we're going to proceed from this point forward, imagining that you're all starting from scratch. But if you have already been using social media for your business, there is valuable information in your experience that you can use to inform your strategy. So we're going to break down this process into two parts. First, do your research. Second, make a plan. We'll start by talking about doing your research. Like any form of marketing, effective use of social media requires good research. You need to know your markets, know your competition, and know how your customers are using social media. This is where you're actually going to start interacting with social media. The great thing about social media is that it generates a huge wealth of information. You can find out so much about your potential customers are doing online. There are tools and companies that can provide data and insights into online market activities, but often a lot of the info you want can be easily found with your own patience and online exploration. This is the part where you're going to be doing a lot of listening, watching and taking note of what you see transpiring on social media, but not yet engaging in it yourself. In looking to customers, you want to be looking for the following. Where are your markets currently on social media? What platforms are they using most? Are they mobile users? What are they doing on social media? Are they mostly consuming content? Are they generating content? Are they frequent commenters? Are they spending time on blogs? What types of relationships do they have with businesses in general? Do they engage with businesses on social media? Are they following artists? Does their online activity correlate with their purchasing habits? Are they using social media to buy or to save money and take advantage of deals and promotions? What type of relationships do they have with businesses similar to yours? Are they paying attention to your competitors? How are they engaging with your competitors? Are they sharing your competitors' content? When looking to your competitors, you want to look for the following. What platforms are my competitors using? Where do they spend their social media efforts? How are they engaging with their audiences in each platform? What type of content are they sharing? What is the tone of their interactions with their markets? What is their overall social media brand? What are the personas on various platforms? How do they differentiate their channels and audiences? How do their social media personalities contribute to their overall brand? What type of tactics, content, or activities appear to be the most successful? Where and for what type of content or activities do they get the most comments, retweets, shares, likes? Have they had successful campaigns around discount offers? What seems to be working for them? Make sure to check the websites of your competitors to see where and how they're directing people to their social media. Where are their social media options displayed? What type of language do they use when talking about their social media? So this is where you're going to spend a lot of time on social media yourself. Things like Twitter and YouTube can be accessed by anyone. You don't need to sign up yourself to see what other people are saying and sharing. And blogs are open for anyone to read. Platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn are a little more tricky in terms of being able to view information about others. But if you sign up as an individual, you can like competitors' pages on Facebook, join groups on LinkedIn, etc., and still start to figure out what's happening where. Not only is this the time where you're finding out about your markets, but you're also getting the hang of the platforms themselves, how they work, how they're being used, and you can play around some with the functionalities, like how to share links, videos, write comments, etc. So now that you've done your research and you're confident you have a good sense of the social media activity of your markets, it's time to start making a plan. A social media marketing strategy will help you establish clear objectives and create a schedule and work plan to keep you on track. I'm going to take one moment here to say that your social media strategy is going to evolve. This isn't set in stone. Social media is a constantly evolving medium, and with new technologies and trends changing the landscape every day. And so much of what you do with social media will depend on what your audience gives back to you. Trial and error is a part of this, and especially when starting out, there are things about how to be the best using social media that you simply cannot know until you've put things to the test in real life. And that's okay. The room for experimentation and change is what's great about social media. But you still need to start with a strategy and use it as the document you come back to and update as things change and you reevaluate your successes and challenges. So your strategy should consist of 5 parts: objectives, audience, channels, tactics, and schedule. You want to set out clearly in each part what you plan to accomplish, who you will reach, the means of doing it, the work that it will require, and the when of it getting done. First, objectives. This is what you want to accomplish. These are about your business, not your social media. An objective is not to get 500 likes on your Facebook page. Some appropriate objectives might be increase traffic to your website, gain feedback on your products, increase your visibility within a particular market, strengthen loyalty and relationships with existing customers. Audience. There are 2 sections to audience. There's the high-level demographic-focused idea of your audience. For example, women between the ages of 20 and 35 who live in an urban area or working professionals have an interest in fashion and do a significant amount of their spending online. Then you'll want to get specific on your audience when you're looking at it in the context of your channels. Each channel is going to want to be differentiated and have content and a tone that's specific to that channel's specific audience. For example, let's say Facebook is where you're targeting your existing customers, those who have made purchases with you in the past. Then on Twitter, you might be more focused on networking with new distributors, so your audience is other businesses and people connected in your industry. This is where your audience, channels, and tactics will all go hand in hand. Who you're trying to reach, in what places, and with what content. Channels. These are the channels you're going to use to reach your audiences. You want to identify the platforms you think will work best for your purposes. Don't do all of them. Having a wide presence is not the same as having an effective presence. Start small. Pick 1, 2, or maybe 3 channels to start with. For example, a very common starting place for many is starting with Facebook and a blog, and then maybe Twitter. There are 3 channels that are free, easy to get the hang of, and can be managed well together. You pick your channels based on the objectives you laid out and the audiences you want to reach. Then you're going to define the tactics you will use in each channel. Tactics. Your tactics describe the content you will share, the activity you will engage in, and the social media personas you will cultivate. It's what you'll be doing in each of your channels. So if, as we discussed earlier, Facebook is where you're targeting your existing customers, then this is where you might be sharing deals, pushing a subscription series, encouraging them to comment and give feedback, and answering their questions. Then on Twitter, where you're focused on networking with new distributors and your audience is other businesses and people in your industry, then this is where you'd be sharing content that's about the industry, having a lot of back and forth conversations, sharing content that's relevant to the business side of things, and trying to position yourself as in the know. The personas you create with your tactics is about tone. Maybe Facebook is where you're fun and upbeat, using lots of pictures and an excited tone. Then on your blog, you're very conversational and really let a personal voice get showcased. These tactics are based on who you're talking to, your audience, and what you want them to do, your objectives. Schedule. Once you've got everything else laid out, you want to set a schedule for yourself. The most important thing about preparing your schedule is to be realistic. Consistency is so key to social media success. You can dive right in and be posting every single day. Then when things are busy, you let it peter off. Remember that your social media history is visible. It's always accessible for people to see what you've been doing. And you don't want to appear to have inconsistent activity. It's a sure sign of someone who doesn't know what they're doing. So start with a realistic schedule. What can you actually do every day, every week, every month? It's better to start with less and then build as you get more confident and can increase the energy you invest in your social media. Get as detailed as possible. How many times a week will you post, tweet, share a video, write a blog, create new content versus sharing others' content? How much will you comment on other people's content or retweet? Think through what a week looks like for you and then see what you can manage and how it lines up with what you want to accomplish. And look ahead to your whole year. Are there times when you'll be busier and not have time to be doing a lot on social media? That's when you'll want to prepare in advance and have content ready ahead of time and maybe even have it automatically scheduled. And then think about when you'll want to be generating extra attention, like during a week-long craft show. Maybe you'll boost your activity then to generate more excitement, tweeting throughout the day about what's happening at the craft show, etc. Your schedule is your daily, weekly, monthly activities, but also your whole year laid out ahead of time. Of course, things change and you'll make adjustments as you go, but starting with a schedule keeps you on track, active, and able to really know your social media, so that any adjustments start to get made are really reflections of what your needs are. So now that you've got your social media strategy, you'll know what you're doing and how you're going to do it, and by now you've spent enough time on social media that you're starting to feel comfortable. So it's time to take your first steps. Now is when you dive in. Go forth, be brave, sign up, start sharing, tweeting, writing. Stick to your schedule and your tactics, and you'll be starting out in the right direction with a clear roadmap. Managing your social media. Good social media marketing requires constant management. And good management means regular monitoring, staying engaged, and troubleshooting. Let's start with monitoring. You need to stay on top of what's happening in your social media channels. You can't just be pushing out your scheduled content. You have to be tracking what other people are contributing to your channels and responding accordingly. In the next section, we'll talk about measurements and tracking your analytics, but just looking at the numbers is not enough. You need to be monitoring activity in a qualitative way and reacting and adjusting accordingly. Note what's being said, what people are liking, what gets the most positive feedback. When people comment, you need to respond. You need to adjust your content according to what's happening in your industry. Remember that this is social. You need to integrate what's happening real time. Think of your social media as a living organism that requires your attention in order for you to respond to its needs. That's what will allow you to get it to meet your needs. And that's where staying engaged comes in. Successful social media marketing is about engagement. Engagement is the real interactions. The real value of social media marketing is the engagement you can have with your customers. You don't just want people to follow you on Twitter or like your Facebook page. You want them to talk about you online, respond to what you post, share your links and posts and pictures. You want them to be engaging with your content, and your own engagement will play into the engagement of your audience. You need to stay engaged. Engage with your audience, with other businesses or artists. You need to be social and keep the conversations going. Now the troubleshooting. The reality is, things can go wrong on social media. A lot of enterprises can be wary of social media because it can leave you open and vulnerable to hearing negative feedback. And when a mistake is made, it can have a wide reach. But I say that you don't need to be afraid to hear negative things, or even of making the occasional mistake. But what you do need to be is ready for it. When you get public negative feedback, you need to be ready to respond publicly with grace, concern, and good customer service. It's an opportunity for you to show everyone, not just the person with the problem, that you can handle your customers well. It's a public opportunity to showcase your ability to respond to your customers' needs. And when you make a mistake, acknowledge it, own up to it, and fix it. Mistakes happen, and people will have more respect for you if you deal with it maturely and straightforwardly, rather than trying to ignore it or sweep it under the rug. And the key with all troubleshooting is timeliness. Move fast. Don't let things wait and fester. Your response time is key in making people feel heard, engaged with, and cared about. Measurement and analytics. Now that we've covered the ongoing management of your social media, you're going to look at the part where you're evaluating your success. You want to be measuring what they call your ROI, or return on investment. This means you want to track what you're actually getting out of the time, effort, and money you're investing in your social media. So how do you evaluate your success? This is where your social media strategy comes in. Your success is tied to your objectives. These are the things you're looking to accomplish. Put simply, are you accomplishing what you set out to do? And if so, is it in fact your social media strategy that's helping you meet your objectives? You want to be keeping track of your process and your progress in a long-term way. You should be noting growth, sales, visits to your website, repeat purchases, etc., and comparing them to your social media activity. We will get into analytics in a minute, where we will talk about the specifics of tracking your social media numbers. But here, let's talk about the other ways to be evaluating your success. Are you getting enough people taking advantage of your online discount that you publish on Facebook? Have you brought on new distributors that you've made contact with over Twitter? Are you getting more comments on your blog posts from your customers who've made purchases, indicating that people are continuing to stay invested in your brand even after they've purchased? Look for the clues in your social media sales activity to show the relationship between your social media activity and your objectives. Now we'll get into analytics. Analytics is the analysis of your data. This can be complicated and intimidating, but we're going to go over some of the basics of how you can engage with your data your social media is generating, and how you can use it to improve the performance of your social media marketing. There are two categories of important information in your data. The first is what's happening on your social media. And the second is how your social media is influencing what happens outside of your social media. What's happening on your social media encompasses growth, the number of followers on Twitter, likes on Facebook, number of subscribers to your YouTube channel. Engagement, this is how much people are sharing your content, posting on your Facebook wall, liking your posts, the number of comments on posts or your blog, retweets on Twitter, views on YouTube, and how much anyone is sharing any of your content or social media profiles. Reach or presence. Where is your social media content or brand showing up? Geographically, markets-wise, what are the demographics of the engagement? How this influences outside of your social media encompasses web traffic. How much of your web traffic is coming from your social media channels? Sales. How much of your sales can be tied back to social media marketing? Attendance, media attention, or in-person activities. Are you getting real-world attention from social media? Are there increased attendance numbers at your events, craft shows, plays, gallery hours? Are you getting increased coverage in the media? Are more people coming into your store? Tools. What are the tools that help you determine the answers to all these questions? Where do you find these numbers? I'm going to give a couple examples of tools that you can use for measuring analytics, and then provide some suggestions for ways you can collect data yourself for some of the more real-world activities I just mentioned. A good place to start is to look at what each of the platforms you are using provide in terms of analytics. Most have some level of information about the activities on your social media profiles. For example, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all have internal tools for tracking your activity. How many people are started following you, or viewed your profile, or shared your content, etc. Here's an example of Facebook's Insight tool. You can see in this picture that at a quick glance you can see the weekly activity such as likes, reach, and engagement. Play around with these tools to see how much information you can find. These alone can sometimes be enough for many people just starting out. And they're mostly free, with options for small fees to upgrade for more access. Then there are tools that are external to the platforms. Some are management tools that include analytics, and some are tools specifically for analytics. We talked about Hootsuite earlier when we mentioned it as a tool for managing your platforms, scheduling posts, keeping things all in one place, etc. But it also provides analytics on your social media activity, and there is a bonus of it being able to have all your data in one place. Examples of similar tools include RivalIQ, Klout, and Buffer. Then there are the analytics of your larger web presence. Google Analytics is a great tool for tracking activity on your website, including where online visitors are coming from, like from your social media profiles or your content. This is also a great tool for looking at the demographics of the online activity. You can get breakdowns by geography, age, gender, etc. Sometimes your web management tools or service provider will also provide access to analytics, so check out what your own system provides. This is a lot to take in, and it can be overwhelming when you first look at the wall of data in front of you. But don't worry, just move ahead slowly and make a plan for yourself. Decide what numbers are most important for you to start tracking regularly. These should tie again to your objectives. Start with a few and start checking your numbers regularly. Generate monthly reports and start comparing the activity. Use this info to evaluate what's working, what's not, what you can change, and what you could see some success by doing more of. These numbers are your guide to how your strategy will change over time and how your social media presence will evolve as you progress. Now for the few real-world things you can be doing to track numbers. You can do things like creating promo codes or coupons that you share on social media. So when someone makes a purchase using that code or coupon, you know that that sale is linked to your social media campaign. Use surveys with existing customers to find out about their relationship with you online. Ask people you meet at your craft show where they heard about you, and take note of whether or not it's social media related. These types of activities obviously don't capture all the data there is, but you can be engaging with people in your real-world interactions and points of sale in order to gain information about what type of relationship they might have with you online. Track the answers you get to these surveys and the numbers of people who respond to promotional social media campaigns. This is part of the bigger picture of how your social media is working for you. Let's review. This brings us to the end of this presentation. We've covered a lot today. We got an overview of what social media is, got to know some of the platforms and tools, and we asked ourselves some questions about whether or not social media is right for your own enterprise. Then we learned about how to do our research and how to listen online so that we have a solid knowledge of our markets and competitors in the social media sphere. Then we went through planning a social media strategy, laying out the objectives, audience, channels, tactics, and schedule. Next, we talked about how to monitor and keep up engagement on our social media and how to manage the day-to-day social media activities. Then we talked about evaluating the success of our social media marketing efforts and the importance of analytics. Once you get started, you will easily experience the benefits of social media marketing for yourself. The reach that social media can provide and the relationships you can build with your audience are unlike any other form of marketing. Now, I hope you have fun building your own social media presence. Thank you so much, and good luck.